Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Who's how they say sheikh in West Africa. Uthman Danfodia, a prominent scholar and reformer and founder of the Sokoto Caliphate in present-day Nigeria. Go look him up. Go look him up and tell me that Islam didn't have any impact on that. Of course it was Islam. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? Of course it was. Of course Islam did so much. As a matter of fact, the early slave rebellion in the West that ever happened in the West, it happened because of Muslims. This is why they tried to force Africans into Christian. This is one of the reasons. Remember, they didn't want Africans to become Christians in the beginning because there was there would be a spiritual conflict. Like how can you enslave your own brother Christians? You get me? But look at the early slave rebellions. Look at, for example, the rebellion in Brazil. It's called the Mali Revolt. Mali Revolt, 1835. Look that up. And even the largest slave revolt in history, human history, which the Zendra rebellion. We'll talk about this. Muslim rebellion. Muslims are doing this. Where are these Christian revolts? Where are these Christian? You don't have them. You get it? Anyways, let's keep watching, y'all. We can go on and on and on. And with this, we're only 4 minutes in, right? But he just plain and simply he does not know, right? So let's keep watching, y'all.
And then they go off with their non-peaceful, violent rhetoric and tactics. It's what they do under the guise of peace. They always like to throw out peace, right? But they don't know how to practice peace. And the whole doctrine is not.
Actually, this is not the appeal for black people. This nonviolence is not the appeal to Islam for black people in general. And as a matter of fact, we only really find immigrants talking about this peace stuff. Islam is a religion because they out here, they're not trying to get in trouble. But the militant propensities of Islam is a selling point of Islam to black people. Is a selling point, right? Thus you have your Malcolm X's of the world. Thus you have your Imam Jamil al-Amin's of the world. Thus you have the Mali rebellion. Thus you have the Golas in Florida. There are, in my opinion, there are two Christian standouts in Western history. Two. One of them, we all know, Dr. Martin Luther King, but he was not about nonviolence. He was not about violence. It was about nonviolence. Okay? And then you have Nat Turner. Nat Turner is my hero, okay? Nat Turner is my hero. Nat Turner, he read the Bible, but he didn't just, he read the New Testament, he read the Old Testament. And he liked that Old Testament God. He liked that old time religion, which is more part and parcel with Islam itself. Because in Islam, we believe death is preferable to oppression. That's what we believe. Allah said in the Quran, okay? Death is preferable to oppression. So it was Islam that instilled the rebellious nature in the slaves against the oppressor. It was Islam that instilled that because we know, we understand, even if you quell this rebellion, even if you wipe out all of us, we can't lose because we are going to Jannah. We're going to paradise for fighting against you. We cannot lose. Whereas Christianity teaches the slave, love your neighbor, turn the other cheek. Oh, slaves, love your master as if you love your Lord yourself. That kind of stuff. So we ain't speaking the same language. How many ayat in the Quran? Allah hates Allah hates oppression. Allah hates oppression. How many ayat in the Quran like this? Too many to count. Allah says in the Quran, it might be that you hate something that is good for you and love something that is bad for you. Talking about, fighting for the sake of Allah. So he doesn't know, right? I think he sincerely does, because he's not being facetious or anything like that. He's being sincere, but he sincerely does not know. Islam is a religion of peace, is not a selling point for us. Because when you speak to us like that, we just hear the church, okay? That's what we hear. Turn the other cheek, trying to keep us underneath the thumb of Zaddy for another 500 years. But when we hear, like, for example, the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu when he says, there's no barrier between Allah and there's no barrier of the dua of the oppressed. When the oppressed makes dua, there's no barrier between him and his Lord. When we hear hadith like that, that resonates with us. That's the stuff that resonates with us. I ain't never heard the Prophet Muhammad talk about Islam as a religion of peace. I personally haven't heard it. If y'all got something like Islam is a religion of peace, either an ayah or hadith or something like, bring it, right? But we are peaceful when it's time to be peaceful, and we are not peaceful when it's time not to be peaceful. And Islam teaches us that death is preferable to oppression. But I digress. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Not to have peace. It's peace as long as you do what I say, when I say, how I say it, because I'm in charge, not rule over you. That's pretty much the MO there. And more Muslims kill more Muslims than anybody, right? Under the guise of Islam, because you're not practicing it the way I practice, right? So what has Islam, okay, so Islam helped, in America, Islam helped black people organize in jail to fight against white supremacy and Latinos. Islam is a jail organizing religion because it gave you something to do in jail. Because Christianity wasn't hard enough when you went to jail. Christianity, the racist people was using Christianity, so you couldn't use Christianity. So in the confines of jail, when the white Christian KKK white folk was using Christianity as their justification for their evilness, you figured, okay, well, I can't use Christianity because they're using Christianity. We're in jail. I'm gonna use Islam because Islam is combative to Christianity. So to be defined against Christianity.
This is not the case either, actually. I think this is more, what's the word? It's more innuendo than anything else, like guesswork, right? This is not the case either. The reason why people accept Islam, especially black folk in jail and prison system, is not because of what he said. It's because Islam is truly reformative. Truly reformative. If you look at Malcolm X, rahimahullah, he accepted Islam in jail. What was he before? He was a drug dealer. He was a weed smoker. He was a pimp. He's like his all-around criminal. He became Muslim and he turned his entire life around, reformed his life around. And he didn't even get the correct version of Islam. He didn't even get the correct version of Islam. The Islam that he was getting, though, was reformative. He accepted the correct version of Islam. Now, imagine if he was alive with the correct, if they didn't assassinate him with that correct version of Islam. Look at Warith Muhammad. Warith Muhammad, the largest mass conversion in recorded history. The largest. Nobody forced these folks to convert to Islam. The son of Elijah Muhammad, mass converted hundreds of thousands of black folk to Orthodox Islam. Was it because something to do with, it had nothing to do with Christianity. That's a fact. It really had nothing to do with Christianity. People just don't become Muslim because they don't like Christian. That's not how it works, okay? People become Muslim because Islam is the truth. Islam is telling you about the purpose of life, okay? That Allah, He hasn't created the human beings and the spirits except that they worship Him alone. This is the reform that happens within the person. So they naturally want to reform their lives. And nobody, even if you start practicing Islam a little bit because you are so, downtrodden, the nature of Islam is something, because the book, the Quran, comes from Allah directly. You will have no choice but to you will be improved. Just by that, you will be improved. You will improve your life somehow, some way, somewhere. You will become a better person. Christianity, on the other hand, was never, ever, ever, ever presented to black folk in that way. Christianity has always been a mind control tool against black folk. So you cannot superimpose the history that we have with Christianity and copy paste that and say Islam does the same thing. No, it does not do the same thing, brother. It does not do the same thing. Actionably, in reality, it does not do the same thing. Period. You have folks that became Muslim in jail. They became Muslim in jail. Then they become business owners. They become, educated, become tradesmen. They change their lives, totally change their lives. Whereas if you go to any black church today in 2025, just pick one, you will see a whole lot of women in there. Very few men, lots of single moms and grandmas, and it looked like you just walked into the club. Like, legit, they doing this crazy jig, this dance that they do or whatnot, right? Like, so this is not appealing. This is not appealing. Old Christianity, the old time Christianity, right? When the black church was first, really the black church was founded by white folks as a tool and a means to pacify the slaves, especially after the time of Nat Turner, especially after that. They really stepped it up. They produced something which is called the Slave Bible. You can look it up, where the Slave Bible basically was to remove all the Old Testament, okay? They didn't want no more slave rebellions like Nat Turner, stuff like that. Nat Turner is my hero. Nat Turner is my hero, okay? But I digress, okay? The whole point is that the church was a means of refuge and solace for black people for a better part of a century and a half. The black church. It became a means of refuge and solace for black people.
Paper gold. You see, black folks are chumps. If America were to tell you to bring all the rocks in this country to her, and she'll give you $1 million for it, you'll do it. And the next day she'll tell you we using rocks for currencies, chump.